Alright, welcome back guys. Today we're gonna have something new. This is my first episode I'd like to call Cards and Combos. I wanted to introduce this segment because there was a lot of new cards, and I've seen some in different places online, Facebook and Reddit. People were wondering what are some of the new combos that Opus 5 brought to the game. And with that being said, I'm gonna go over some of the things I found. I'm sure I missed some. First of all, there really is a lot of cards, and I'm not always thinking about every color at the time. For the most part, I'm usually thinking about what I want to play and what I want to do at first. So, yeah, like I said, I'm sure I missed some. And if you know some that I didn't put up here, please put them in the comments below. I want to know about them so we can share them. Maybe I can get them all together and make another video for everyone else. It's important that we keep all of these open to everybody so you guys know what to expect, and so you're not blindsided when you see them. And you can that way you can spot them if, when you see what your opponent's running, you'll be like, okay, I should probably be on the lookout for something like this. And without further ado, I want to go into the first combination that I have here. This one was, this is actually going to be an update, if you will, on a combo we used to have before. It was Barbariccia and Palem. Barbaricia's S ability, Maelstrom. Deal each forward your opponent controls damage equal to its power minus 1,000. So it would never actually kill anyone, but with Palem on the board, his effect says deal any forward that takes damage takes 1,000 extra damage. And with that and Barbariccia, you would kill most forwards. It's pretty much a board wipe. And now with Manasvin Warmech, it's a cheaper version of Palem, and he's a monster, so he can just sit there and wait for you to get off the Barbariccia combo. You don't have to play the Palem. Now I do like the Palem altogether, better as a forward, but I think for the purpose of this combo, it'll be faster and a little more accessible. Like, you don't have to protect Palem the whole game, and you can play multiple copies of this Warmech, and it'll just be easier for you to get it off, I think. So also it does too. It increases damage done by 2,000. So with that, it'll account for any buffs they're getting, as long as it's only 1k buff and not like 2k buff, like they're not being buffed by multiple things at once. It will be a board wipe for your opponent's side. It'll board wipe all your opponent's forwards. Now the next one I want to talk about is for fire mostly. You can use Godot and a bunch of in any combination, fire, ice, and fire, lightning. I had some ideas for too, but the main purpose of this combo is for Sabin as well. So when Godot attacks, choose a forward, it gains haste until the end of the turn. Now the reason you want to do this is because when Sabin attacks, he gets to choose another forward to break. So the play is pretty much, you have Godot on the board, you summon Sabin. Sabin will select Godot not to not be broken this turn, and then Godot will attack, give haste to Sabin. Sabin will attack and give himself and or another forward the ability to not be broken, the protection this turn. It's a little subtle, but it's just something to think about. This does work with other forwards that have when they attack on attack effects, auto abilities. So that's another way just to help speed up your plays. It just doesn't, Godot helps you facilitate those so you don't have to wait the turn or have, let's say you're not playing lightning and you don't have the red mage for the haste, or you couldn't fit the goblin in your deck at all, and because you were already playing, Godot and the space was really tight. He helps with all that, give the forwards you need to attack, haste. It also works for any of the monsters too, so monsters normally have summoning sickness when they become forwards. So you can make them a monster, have Godot swing, choose it. It now has haste, and it can also attack as a forward, is what I'm saying, and still use its abilities if it's needed. It's also good for stuff like Amon. Sometimes it does come in and it lets you dole forward, but you have to wait another turn to use its effect again. But you could attack, give it haste, and then dole another forward, all in the same attack phase before your opponent blocks. So yeah, Godot is really cool in that sense because he's a body and he helps give that haste to other forwards, and I really like that about him. Now, one of my favorite ones, and this is for water. I am playing. You guys are gonna laugh. So I'm kind of considering going back playing water, and because of that, I really looked into Schrodinger or Schrodinger, however you guys want to pronounce it, in the Potcat. And he's just filled with value, but sometimes you want to control. In order for you to control what you draw, there are only a few cards, and Ephemeral Summoner is one of them. When Ephemeral Summoner enters the field, you may search for a water summon of cost 4 or less and put it on top of your deck. So Ephemeral puts any summon, Leviathan, Bismarck, whatever you want, on top of your deck, and then you play Schrodinger to draw it, draw 2 cards pretty much. So whenever he reveals a summon, you draw 2 cards. Now, there's a lot of value there, and going even further, you can always play Lena into Ephemeral, into the summon, into Schrodinger, if you have enough CP for it, of course, and you will definitely get value out of that play. So, of course, sometimes you want to search the summon. See, that was my problem with Ephemeral in the past. You would search your summon and leave it there so your opponent wouldn't attack you, or he would prepare a situation for the attack. But sometimes you need to get that summon to your hand, and this is kind of a way for you to have water search summons other than Terra and other than Summoner to get it back from the grave. And unless you're playing Rydia from Earth, like a water earth combo, for me this is a good way for you to get into it. Now for wind, and I thought of this one because I really like Nanamigo, and there's always people trying to find a mill deck, and I think it's funny because that's such a concept in pretty much every card game to help. Because it's a win condition, obviously. If your opponent runs out of deck and they can't draw, you win. So, there's already been mill decks in the past with, Sids and stuff like that. And you're always going to be running the Riku. But Nanamigo is one of the, I want to say it's the only forward that does this. When it deals damage to your opponent, they remove the top 2 cards of the deck into the break zone. And if both cards are the same element, draw a card, which is fantastic against mono decks. So her effect also says cannot be blocked by a forward of cost or more, which is good. That's a very standard. It's not the best one to not be blocked, but Spicecilian, I believe is the way his name is pronounced, is great because it says he's 1 CP, tap him, choose a forward. It cannot be blocked by a forward of cost equal or inferior to its own. So if it can't be blocked by 4 or higher, and it can't be blocked by 3 or lower, this card is unblockable. Like I said, this is a 2-card combo. It's that's kind of what I was going for in this segment with you guys. I wanted to talk about 2-card combos mostly. Of course, there's you can use this in combination with any other things, but as long as you can protect Nanamigo, she's gonna attack every turn, and either in 7 turns. Kind of like this in Kobleroi, you can use to kind of get under the opponent's radar. And since most of the forwards are 4 and lower cost, you shouldn't have anything to worry about. You will get off the milling. And this also works with the 3, I believe it's the 3 cost Yuffie from Opus 1. She has the same ability where it cannot be blocked by a forward of cost 4 or more. But this one just helps you mill. Like, I know... Honestly, by the time you hit the 7th point of damage with this, you'll most likely hit this before you hit the milling thing, but it's still something to think about. Going a step further with Spicecilian is Twilight Odin. Now, this is 2 monsters, but everyone's talking about Twilight Odin and what a great card it is. And Lightning Wind is a very common deck to look out for. When you're playing in tournaments and in locals and stuff like that. So just to read it with you, when Twilight Odin deals damage to your opponent, choose a forward your opponent controls and break it. This is just, that's it. It's pretty simple. It's gonna kill, destroy, break one of your opponent's forwards. And with Spicecilian, it won't be blocked. It cannot be blocked by a 4 or lower cost forward. And like I said, the average of forwards you're gonna see on your opponent's side of the field will always be 4 or less. There are 5s, stuff like that you'll have to worry about, but in reality, you're not gonna see them every match. You're more likely to have a board of 3s and 4s or 2s and stuff like that, and you're gonna be able to get this away. I really like Spicecilian. I'm gonna work on this a little bit with him. I don't know if I'm gonna do Wind Lightning, probably because I want to try this Twilight Odin thing, and really put your opponent in a situation where they have to choose, or respond really. But yeah, so Spicecilian, if you guys haven't read them, maybe you guys can help me come up with some more ideas. It also works for like Genesis. If you're doing Genesis and Lock, they won't be blocked by anything. Cost of theirs are lower, and it's just they'll have to discard a card. There's a lot of things you can do with this card, but I really like it. The next one I want to talk about is Zaid. When Zaid is dealt damage by a character, that character's controller discards one card from his or her hand. Now, it's pretty much if he blocks or if your opponent blocks or anything like that, those forwards will be dealing damage to him. They'll have to discard a card. Same thing with ping effects like Zaid or anything like that shoots for damage. But another one of the combos that I thought of is how can we force this? Other than, because if you attack, your opponent's not going to block because they're they're most likely going to lose a monster, because you can always power up Zaid with his second ability for 1 ice. He'll gain an extra 1,000 power for the end of the turn. And then they don't want to discard a card and lose a monster. So you can't, it's very unlikely that they'll block unless they have to. But how can we force this? So I was thinking Hecatoncheir. Choose a forward you control and a forward your opponent controls. Each forward deals damage equal to its power to the other. Again, so what's going to happen here is that because your opponent's monster is the source of the damage, his card is dealing damage to Zaid, and Zaid's effect will trigger, causing them to discard a card. And if the damage is too close or they buff their forward in any way, you can do the same with Zaid's effect. So this is in my opinion, this is a safe play. It's not too expensive. You're gonna have, if you were planning on playing Zaid, keeping him on the board, in an Earth Ice deck, you can search with Star Sibyl and then just next turn play him. This is one really nice idea for you guys just to think about, help push your opponent back, having them discard cards, also clear forward and stuff like that. So it's actually it's a really good play. It's a really good combo if you ask me. I really liked it. And we can take this one step further. Something similar to this actually is Vermilion Bird Ziyu. He has the same effect when the forward damaged by Vermilion Bird is put from the field into the break zone on the same turn. You can activate Vermilion Ziyu, and Vermilion Bird Ziyu can attack once more this turn. So he gains the ability to get extra attacks. Now, of course, you can do it with Hecatoncheir, which is the same thing kind of that we just explained with Zaid. But Raban's also another way to do this. Again, because the source of the damage is the forward, this allows their Zuyu's effect to trigger, giving him an extra attack this turn. So normally, most cards can only attack one turn, but because of this, he can attack at least twice per turn. Obviously, Zuyu is one of those things that if your opponent blocks, he's just gonna keep attacking. But this is a way to get around that as well, because ideally they're not going to give you the first point of damage always. They're going to give you the first few points of damage until it starts getting into the later game. But with this, Raban and Hecatoncheir let Vermilion attack twice, and that becomes a big problem when your opponent's like, okay, I'm going to take 2 points of damage here, and that's not good, and he's going to be, just something to think about, guys. It's actually easier with Hecatoncheir, obviously, because it'll activate him once he's attacked. But the Raban does give him 2 attacks if you can give him Brave and stuff like that. So now going on to the Darks. This isn't really so much a combo, but it is one of the cards I want to talk about. I guess you can think of it as a combo. I like to. So when Kamlana enters the field, you may search for one dark card, any dark card, and add it to your hand. Now, mostly I was thinking searching for Emperor. Just to deal with. So my idea behind this combo is when you're fighting monocolor decks, Kamlana will search Emperor, and on the next main phase you can switch element to whichever color your opponent is playing. For example, let's say water. He will become water, and then on that same turn you can drop Emperor, because he is no longer dark, allowing you to have both of these cards on the field. And that kind of so if you can't target him and you can't use your characters, cannot use your special or action abilities, this is going to be a big board to deal with. He's going to be a 9k untouchable, and then you can't use your actions and special abilities at the same time. Yeah, think about it. This is just the fact that we can search Emperor now, because sometimes that's the problem. You're always waiting for the Emperor to get there and just to hold your opponent down, or kind of clench the win and prevent them from doing any other effects, you can just search him and get him out, like I said. And because Come Out can switch is a color, you can have both of these out on the field. And if we wanted to take one step further, we can move on to this next combo, but it can also start with Come Out. He can search Zodiark. And if you're playing an Earth one, we can talk about this combo. So Gabranth says his first effect is, if you've taken 5 points of damage, reduce his cost by 3, so putting him at 1 CP to bring into the board, which is good. But the real important effect is put Gabranth into the break zone. During this turn, the next damage dealt to you becomes 0 instead. Now, at first I had thought the way it's worded leads me to believe that at some point you will be taking multiple points of damage in this game. Because as of right now, even if, when you attack, you only take 1 point of damage. Even when you team attack, you're only taking 1 point of damage. Cactuar is only 1 point of damage and stuff like that. But Zodiark is the first card that, if you guys don't know the rulings, this card says when you take the damage equal to the amount of forwards you broke, you take them all at once. Now they resolve individually, but the effect is you're taking all those damages at once. So if you have Gabranth, you can send him to the grave and then play Zodiark. And let's say you're breaking the whole board. Like, you can break 8 forwards. It doesn't matter. You're not going to take damage from the effect of Zodiark. And that is it's just such a crazy effect, because Zodiark is such a powerful card that helps you take the win away. Like, helps you either come back from a real bad situation if your opponent swarmed you, or kind of push the game in your favor from, preventing your opponent to keep their momentum. But obviously the downside of it was that you take all that damage. And even late game, let's say you're at 6 points of damage, you can't afford to play this card anymore. The real idea behind this as well is so Gabranth will be, let's say you're at 5 points of damage. Gabranth will be 1, you bring him out, and that's already cheaper, and then you can have his effect to clear the board, and you're still at 5 or 6 points of damage, and you're still safe. And when you think about that, it almost seems unfair, because if you have a dark card, let's say you had Cameron out, search for Zodiark, he's already going to be 4. Zodiark's going to be a 4 cost instead of a 7 cost, and Gabranth will prevent the negative parts of that effect. And yeah, I expect to see this combo a lot. I know if you guys haven't seen this yet, or you should definitely test it out. It's very strong. It's very powerful. I love this card. I love this combination. I will be using it in my Earth deck when I finish that, I think. And yeah, that's it for the combo video, guys. Again, let me know if you've missed any. Let me know if I've missed any. Let me rephrase that. Let me know if I missed any. I want to know them all. Let's put them all together. Let's talk about them. And yeah, I'll catch you guys next week. I'll have a tournament report for you, and that's about it. You guys have a good one.